The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Tualatin Valley Fire District, Oregon, on your new fire apparatus, job number 32054. Please utilize this job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting on the face of the front bumper, you'll find dual mechanical sirens. Just inward of that location, you'll find dual air horns. Up onto the bumper itself, you'll find a tubbed storage area. Moving to the driver's side, you'll find an 1.5-inch swivel discharge. Moving onto the side of the bumper, you'll find an emergency warning light. Up onto the driver's side front section of the body, you'll find an air inlet. And moving upward of that location, you'll find your headlight cluster housing the low and high beam. The high beam will be on the inside. You'll also find in this vicinity the turn indicator. Moving up from that, on the front of the body, you'll find a LED warning light. Up onto your windshield, you'll find dual windshield wipers. On the side, you'll find mirrors that house a flat portion and also a convex portion. In the center, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. Just up onto the brow of the apparatus, you'll find 5 running lights. You'll find a driver assist forward mirror. Up onto the top, you'll find an electronic light bar. Located in the center of the light bar, you'll find an opticom. Here are some close-ups of those images that we just talked about. This is your front bumper storage area for hose. Front discharge swivel 1.5-inch male fitting. Air intake and headlight cluster. Emergency warning lights. On the side of the apparatus, you have an emergency warning light. There is also a pan door. Housed behind that pan door is your tilt cab. We'll talk about that in a few moments. You also have a side-facing camera, side-facing floodlights, and on the cab you have an emergency warning light and also an LED tank indicator. Located on the passenger side front bumper, you'll find your cab lift. There is a red switch indicating lower or raise. There is also a lock release and then the activate. There is also a location for remote plug-in. We're now into the pump side panel. We'll first start in this upper corner, the gray section. You'll find this is 2 latches. Slam latches, which will allow you to drop down this panel to gain access behind the gauges. In the left, in the gray area, you'll find your master intake. In between the master intake and master discharge, you'll find the test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. The upper right gauge is your master discharge. In the gray area also, you'll find engine information. Let's start on the perimeter of this area, first starting with your engine oil, water temperature, your volts down in the lower left, and you have an exterior fuel gauge for your engine. There are also a few warning and stop indicator lights. The stop indications are the red lights, which would pertain on the left-hand side, which would be your oil, stop engine, and battery, and also water temperature. On the right side, you'll find check engine, which are amber lights, and you'll find that in the check engine and fuel, and also your check transmission. Located in the center, you'll find a tachometer. Let's move just outside of the gray area
On the right-hand side, you'll find this black module, which is a speaker for audible alarm. Just up from that location, you'll find your Watrous pump overheat. Let's move down to the left-hand side. First, we'll start if your pump is properly engaged. You'll get an indicator light here, and you'll also receive throttle ready on your pump boss. Let's move through some of the settings here. First, we'll start with the yellow, which is your deluge discharge. As we move to the right, you'll find this set of switches: panel lights, pump engaged, driver side scene lights, passenger side scene lights, rear scene lights, and a DPF regen inhibit, which is a red switch. When that is activated, you'll find the DPF regen inhibit active light. To the right, you'll find a water level in blue, and then again, you'll find your pump boss on the right. All the way to the far right, you'll find an engine cooler. This is a valve that is a turn, not a pull. As we move down from that location, you'll find an additional audible speaker for your audible alarm. And then just to the right of that, you'll find your Pierce maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 PSI. And below that, you'll find the red switch or button, which is your air horn. This is your 150, 200, and 250 PSI test pressure plaque. On the left-hand side, you'll find your GPMs are associated with those pressures. And on the right-hand side, you'll find the RPMs associated with those test pressures. Please see your owner's manual for more information. As we look to the next section down, you'll find all of your valves for all of your discharges. To the right, you'll find your primer for the fire pump with instructions just beneath that. And then further to the right, you'll find your tank fill recirculating line and also your tank to pump. This is your fire pump primer, is a Trident Air Prime. There are instructions just below that, and there is also a warning label here regarding fall hazard and not to climb on or off of the vehicle while it's in motion. To the right, you'll find your Pierce minimum operation schedule. That was for the placard that we earlier mentioned. And then you'll also find this placard in red from Watrous with the information about your pump. You do have a Watrous pump. It is a CSU. It is a trans model of C20D. And it also has information on the ratio. To the right, you'll find your air valve supply and air outlet. Down in the lower corner, you'll find your pump drain and your manual pump shift with a caution label. Let's move to the left-hand side of the pump panel. This will be toward the front of the cab. You'll find this warning label regarding only trained personnel should operate this equipment, and you should utilize your owner's manual for instruction. You'll also find the driver's side auxiliary inlet. This is a 2.5-inch female inlet. And to the right of that, you'll find a garden hose connection. Far right-hand side, you're going to find all your associated drains, which are color-coded and labeled. You do have a color-coding discharge placard. To the right, you'll find the number 1 and number 2 side discharges. These are 2.5-inch discharges. As we look underneath the pump panel, you will find a pull to drain. This is for your front discharge. Looking up into the crosslay area, you'll find in the front section backboard storage, and to the rear section, you'll find your hose storage. We're up in the dunnage area where your deck gun is located. As you look further up onto the cab, you will find some warning labels regarding not to walk on this area. Cautious, it is slippery. And you'll also find in your dunnage area 3 work lights, water fill location for top fill, and also additional work lights which are adjustable. On the diamond plate covered hose bed, you will find these warning placards regarding the edge of the apparatus for firefighter safety. As we move to the next compartment on the driver's side, let's take a look in the upper left-hand corner. This is your breaker box for the S1, which stands for shore power. When plugged into shore power, that will activate. Just in front of the rear wheel, you'll find bottle storage locations with safety straps. Over the rear wheel, you'll find a pegboard tool area. As we move to the rear section, you'll find the silver ultra low sulfur diesel fuel cap, and then above that, you'll find the blue DEF 4.5 US gallon tank. In the very rear compartment, you'll find a pull-out shelf. The activation or release mechanism is on the right. There are some close-ups of the side-facing floodlights and also on the top, the emergency rear warning light. On the side of the apparatus, you will find folding wheel chocks just in front and to the rear of the rear wheel. Let's take a look at the rear of the apparatus. You're going to find a few warning labels here. Because hose comes off of this location, you will find an entanglement warning. You'll also find additional warning labels regarding not riding on the side of the apparatus, and also associated hazards with pressurized caps and removing those caps while under pressure. On the right and left side, you'll find your brake, turn, emergency light, and backup lights. You will find two switches on this side in the cupped area. We'll cover those in just a moment. As we move up further, you'll find the two rear discharges on the passenger and driver side. Both of those are 2.5 inch. And also in the center, your backup camera. You do have sufficient steps to going aloft. There are 2 in the lower section and 2 in the upper section. As we move to the side of the apparatus, just a generalized view, and then we'll cover some of those images in close-up perspective. First, your rear scene lights and also your rear suspension dump. These are the 2 switches for that. Driver's side rear discharge. Your backup camera located in the center cutout area. Passenger rear discharge. In the center and the lower section, you will find this drop-down storage location. When it is in the drop-down position, there is a caution label here regarding that this is not a step. As we look inside that compartment, you'll find sufficient storage and LED lighting, and also at the very back, an access panel. We'll move around now to the side area of your equipment rack. This is the module that allows your rack to release. There is a release mechanism, and we'll show you that in just a few moments. You do have a 24-foot extension ladder, a 14-foot roof, and a 10-foot folding attic ladder. In the passenger side rear compartment, 2 shelves, LED lighting, and also a pull-out shelf. Just in front of that location, you do have an additional fill location for your ultra-low sulfur diesel. You also have an equipment rack hydraulic reservoir. This is for the hydraulic rack just overhead. In front of that, you'll find 3 bottle storage locations with safety straps. And as we look just over the rear wheel, you'll find a vertical compartment, LED lighting, and also adjustable shelving. As we move to the front compartment, I would like to point out this label regarding a warning: extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures, and be cautious as to where you park. We'll now look to the upper right-hand corner where you'll find your ProNautica 12-60P. This is going to be an additional AC power unit. To the right, you'll find additional warning labels here regarding fall and not to ride on the side of your apparatus while in motion. You'll also find those warning labels regarding pressurized caps and the associated hazards while removing. And then once again, entanglement and fall protection warning labels here. As we move through, you'll find 2 access panel doors here. We'll cover those in just a few moments. You'll also find your large diameter pump intake. Just to the front section of that, you'll find your green large diameter discharge. And then in orange, a 2.5 inch discharge port. Just beneath that, you'll find your 2.5 inch auxiliary inlet. This is a female inlet. And then you have also associated discharge drains for each of those color coded. As we move into that top access compartment, this is your powered equipment rack. You can see there's a green indicator when the power is on, a lift up or down, and also a warning. To the left, you'll find a manual hand operation of your hydraulic jack. This is your powered equipment rack. Once again, you can see that there is 2 switches, master, up or down, and also an audible warning. And here are the instructions regarding the hand operation for your hydraulic rack. Looking inside this compartment, you'll also find your intake relief valve. This is an adjustment for that relief valve. On the outer edge, on the cab, in the rear, you'll find your LED water indicator for your tank water. As we look to all points of entry, you'll find additional warning labels regarding the use of seatbelts As we look down further into the hinged area, you'll find this red handle, which will assist firefighters in and out of the cab. There are LED spotlights located on the right and left of your vehicle in the rear section. You also have 3 compartment storages in the front, and underneath these seats you'll find additional storage and also your heating unit. The controls for your heating unit are located in the center, fan control and also temperature control. Looking overhead, you'll find your air conditioning unit. Let's look just behind the driver's seat where you'll find your refrigerator. Located also behind the driver's seat is going to be the S2, which stands for shore power. This is the second breaker. This is for your refrigerator and also the receptacle for the cab inside your cab. Directly behind the seat and below that panel is where you'll find the number 2 plug-in location. General view looking from the rear to the front. Let's move now to the passenger seat. You'll find a grab handle on the right-hand side of the door in the hinged area. You'll also find electronic controls for your window and also door locks. Moving to the center, we'll talk a little bit about some of these when I have a better image of those. Those are your air horn and also mechanical siren buttons. At the foot level, you'll find a mechanical siren foot pedal. Underneath the seat, you'll find an additional storage location. And as we look to the dash area, a little bit better image here. This is your air horn and also mechanical siren. Moving to the left or inside section, you'll find 2 spotlights located here. They are LED with chargers. And just behind those, you'll find USB 12-volt access and also your vehicle data recorder. Let's go ahead and look overhead of the passenger seat. This is where you're going to find your control for your sirens. As we look to the rear behind the driver's seat, you'll find the control module for those sirens. Also an audible speaker for your main unit radio. Also in the same vicinity, you'll find the engine check and also transmission check locations. And as we move exterior front passenger side, you'll find this side-facing camera. Let's now move to the driver's seat. Let's take a little bit at this yellow placard. This is manufactured by Pierce for Tualatin Valley Fire. It has the date of manufacture, your job number. There are 2 vehicles associated with this job number. Gross vehicle weight rating, your VIN number, and also all of your fluid capacities for the components and fluid type. Down at the base of the seat, you'll find your air inlet and shoreline power on. This light will indicate green when plugged into shore power. This is your shoreline inlet. It is a 30 amp plug. It is a push-in style plug. As we look to the base section or floor area, you'll find on the left foot for the operator, this is the mechanical siren foot pedal. As we move about left knee, you'll find this module. This is a module regarding your ABS engine diagnostics, engine diagnostic switch, command zone, and you'll also find your ABS diagnostic. There is also an audible alarm to the upper left. Let's move just slightly up above that area. By the grab handle is where you'll find your master battery switch. As we move over to the dash area, left-hand side of the column, you'll find your ignition and start, your headlights, and also the dimmer switch for your panel lights. Just near the cluster for the speedometer, you'll find your height 10 feet 6 inches, length 31 feet 6 inches, gross vehicle weight at 49.8. If you make any changes to this, please revise this placard. General view here of the dash area to the right of the operator. Let's go ahead and take a look at the set of switches at about the right knee location. You have the backup alarm cancel, load manager, OK to engage the high idle, auto start, air dump, electronic siren brake in red, and then you have your perimeter lights. Let's go ahead and move up just to the right-hand side of the column. You'll find additional diagnostic information that will light up. And as we look to the right, once again, you'll find your climate control, fan speed also. Just beneath that, you're going to find your engine brake on and off, engine brake setting for low, medium, and high, off-road traction control, mirror heat, DPF regen, and then also your DPF regen inhibit, which is the red switch. Let's move down from this location. You'll find your window controls for all 4 of your cab windows. Just above that, you're going to find your Pierce command zone, a tremendous amount of information right here at this module. To the left of that location, you'll find your Allison transmission pad. Above that, you'll find your master air brake, which is pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. To the right of the command module, you'll find your pump shift. There are specific instructions on moving from road to pump on the left-hand side and also on the right-hand side from pump to road. There are two green indicators, pump engaged and OK to pump. Both of these must be lit prior to exiting the cab for pump operations. On the back side of the module, you'll find the driver's side mirror and passenger side mirror. And as we look overhead of the driver, you'll find your emergency master, roof light, front warning light, side warning light, a red switch, which is your siren brake, lower rear warning, upper rear warning, and your opticom. Moving just right of this location, you're going to find your white light cancel, electronic horn, high beam flash, fog lights, front warning, driver's side flood, passenger side flood, and your rear flood. Let's move to the center overhead between the passenger and driver's seat, where you'll find your Pierce seatbelt information display, red indicating that someone is in the seat and not belted, green indicating that they are in the seat and belted. Just beneath that, although difficult to see, you'll see that red light down at the very bottom. If that is lit, do not move your apparatus. You have a door or compartment open. Looking back to the rear section, you'll find your 3 SCBA seats. Congratulations, Tualatin Valley Fire District, on your new fire apparatus, job number 32054. If you have any questions about the content of this video or any further information regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Congratulations.